How you
Hi.
doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good.
Good.
Thanks for sitting down to chat with me.
Of course.
And can you introduce yourself? Just let everybody know what you do.
I'm Jessie Farrell. I've been a model and a photographer for 15 years now. I work in New York City and I live in Greenpoint.
15 years. Wow, so that means we met
Probably longer
10
now.
years ago. No, about probably 10 years because you were still in, I
We were
think you were
both in
still in
Philly.
school.
Yeah.
You were still in school. So can you talk about because a lot of people always wonder, should I go to school for photography? Should I just learn it on my own? Can you speak to that? Like, was school a benefit to you?
Personally, I see college as you either go now or you go later. I never wanted to wonder what going to college was going to be like. Everyone told me I was so dumb for going to college for photography, but I didn't care. I wanted a well-rounded education, and I wanted people to take me seriously, and I wanted people to at least understand that I valued and respected my own career, and I wanted to learn how to learn, and I think that's what college is for, is learning how to learn.
And were you always a photographer? What age did that photo bug bite you and you said, this can be a career, this is what I want to do?
I think I was 13, and I would drag my friends into my basement, and I would put dress. I didn't have any clothes really that were shootable, so I would make clothes out of leaves in my backyard, or I would rip up magazines and tape them to my friends, or trash bags, or literally any material I could get my hands on, and try to rework the material and put it together. And then I thought it was Vogue. I was trying to imitate editorials at 13, and I thought my friends loved it as much as I did. Apparently, they were just doing it because I wanted to do it. But that was when I started, and I just kept doing it and just shooting my friends, and they would shoot me, and we would just practice. And I didn't realize I was practicing until I was in high school, and I was like, oh God, what do I do? And I just picked up a film camera, and I was like, okay, I guess this is it. I mean, I've been practicing this for the most amount of time of my life, so I guess this is what we're doing.
Okay. And when did modeling come into your life?
Well, everyone was like, you're so tall, lanky. My mom's friends would always say you should model. So I kind of just always did that because, when I was shooting my friends, they would shoot me, and I was with an agency from 13 all the way to now. So it's just always been a part of my life,
What always stood out about you to me was just your energy and your positivity. Is that something you've always had? You worked on it? That's just your personality? Where did that come from? Because you're great to be around on set. I feel that probably translates well to your clients, where you make them feel comfortable. And I'm sure when people book you for modeling, they enjoy having you on set. So was that always something you've had, or did you work on it?
I think I'm not happy in every environment that I'm in, right? I mean, obviously I've tried to get a corporate job before, and I was just totally miserable. Mm-hmm. So I think from a very young age, I was told your job is a third of your life. You have to genuinely love what you're doing. You have to. I mean, obviously you still have to make money, but you want to find that ikigai where, it's something that the world it needs, something that you can offer, and then something that makes you happy as well. That circle of, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
It has to be balanced. So I think that the fact that I really love what I'm doing, I really love my life, and I make my happiness a priority to me, I just walk away from situations that I don't really want to be in. So.
It really shows.
Yeah.
Being a model and a photographer, you learn on both sides of the camera.
Yeah.
When you're on a job as a model, do you have to turn the photographer brain off and say hey, stop looking at this guy's lighting or this girl's lighting, stop looking at, how they pose or how they tether, and just say, let me focus on doing the modeling job? Or can you do both simultaneously?
I've talked to so many female photographers about this who also model, and I'm like, is this the thing? Is this are we both and they're like, yes, it's a thing. It's an actual problem.
It's a problem.
Being able to just shut up. Because yeah, you want to talk, you want to have an opinion, and you're used to having an opinion, and you're used to being able to control and being responsible for hair, makeup, styling, and photography and lighting, and you're used to having so much responsibility, and you just have to be able to shut that off. I've gotten better at it over time, and I think I'm good at it now.
What was your worst experience where you just kept talking and they were like, I need you just to model?
Probably with you, because
Really?
I feel comfortable around you,
Okay.
so I'll give more input. But when I'm with strangers, which is most 99% of the job, you're with a new client every single day. I don't feel as comfortable doing that. But if I'm with someone that I've been working with for like 10 plus years, yeah, like it's harder to be quiet because you feel so comfortable with that person. They're your friend, So, yeah.
When we shoot, I always look at it as just part of the package. Like you're a model and a photographer, and we're always just testing. So that communication we have, I just look at it like, just being just. I don't really think like she's talking too much or asking me too much about lighting or anything like that. Throughout your modeling career, what was a high moment where, you were on a shoot or on a set that you really loved, or you got to work with a photographer or a team?
I think like the moments that have stood out to me the most are more so because, I am a photographer, so I have my favorites. And so like the more prestigious brands, like, like Alice and Olivia, like they wouldn't have meant as much to me as like working with a photographer that I see as like highly skilled, but other people may not like know of. But I think those moments are yet to come. I think that the best photographers are still out there, and I still am waiting to work with them. But I see them dropping out of the game, and it makes me really sad because it is really hard being a model photographer, and it's really hard. I don't know whether it's like not making enough money or like, but even the top 1% of people in the industry are dropping out and giving up, and it's sad. But I hope to still be able to work with those people before they do. And I'm seeing a lot of females in particular that I'm looking forward to hopefully working with in the next coming years. I'm going to manifest.
Okay.
But in the past, the people that I've been the most rewarding are mostly female photographers, because it is a mostly male-dominated industry. So it's always been female photographers, and just like it's really cool to be able to like have that inspiration on my side of knowing that I could get to that level at some point.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm always curious about this, but shooting with a male photographer or a female photographer, do you feel something different looking through the lens? Because I personally, when I look at females photographers' work, I do feel as though they shoot women different than I shoot them, and I try to balance that and not try to be, like over sexualized or, always have them looking at the camera or something like that. Like I try to change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But is there a distinctive thing where you can say, all right, this was a male who shot this or a female who shot this?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say because the women I've shot with have been on average a much higher level than the men I've shot with.
Okay.
So I don't know if I would be comparing apples to apples there.
Makes sense.
But you're actually probably one of the highest levels of male photographers that I've worked with, and you're very direct. But I do feel like women they make you feel more comfortable with looking ugly on camera, and not like, because they make you do things that you wouldn't normally do, right? Like make a quirky face or a silly face, and then that like they'll crop it in a certain way so that it doesn't look bad. Whereas I think male photographers may like take it more seriously, more beauty, whereas females are more on the younger edge, like the Gen Z, the Gen Alpha view of photography, which is more identity based photography. It's like less about beauty. It's more about, I mean, it's still beautiful, but it's more like silly and quirky and like messy, I guess. It's more messy.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think.
What advice do you have for new photographers starting out? Maybe like one or two things. Curate. Like you need to know what you want, and it needs to be the top 1%, or you will never make it. So you need to figure out who are like my top 5 aspiring like people that I want to be like, and then just study their work, study their setups, study specifically what they do, what they use. You don't have to spend a lot of money on equipment. A lot of these photographers do shoot on digitals and they just make it look like film. But figure out what your style, what your identity is quickly. That will help you to cut corners in ways that you wouldn't otherwise be able to. And then be very harsh on your own work. I mean, when you're shooting, you should have one good image out of 300 at least, right?
I mean, when I'm culling, I like now versus when I started, oh my God. I if I could have told my younger self one thing, it would be when you have a shoot, you're shooting maybe shoot like 2,000 images. Fine. Let's say you do 2,000 images. You need to find every single time 5 best images. Just 5. Only give yourself 5. And then after time, you can maybe stretch that number to like 15 or 20. But you need to be very hard on yourself when you start out on making sure that your work is curated to, and then constantly compare. Like I have websites up of my dream photographers as I'm editing to make sure, okay, are my colors looking the same? Like so even in the realm of where I want to be and what I'm trying to achieve, right? And then I'm always looking up new artists, new ideas, new concepts, and yeah, like you get inspiration from like nature and from travel, obviously, but everything comes from somewhere. Every idea that you have is subconsciously or otherwise derived from an experience that you've had. So you need to put yourself into those experiences first, and then you will be able to derive from those experiences a new identity in your own work and in your own self.
That's a very good point. What advice would you have for a model just starting out?
Yeah, like be confident, don't be obnoxious. Don't like be entitled, just want it, want it. I would say like, yeah, definitely put yourself out there, send a lot of emails, like try to constantly be, working at it. But like just be nice and be open, be present when you're on set, I love like BTS. I love, like selfies, but try to keep the focus on like just building relationships with your, photographers and the people that are helping you out along the way. Do you agree with that?
That's good advice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think you may not have a full team or hair and makeup, but
Yeah.
if you connect with a photographer in a pair of jeans and a t-shirt, you guys can still get some amazing images. So focus on that connection more than anything. So I think that's good advice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you went to school and sounds like you really educate yourself on your own. What avenues are you using now to continue your education? Do you have mentors? Are you just buying education online? Are you looking at YouTube videos? How do you continue to advance?
I wish I had mentors. I follow my favorite photographers on Instagram. Sometimes they'll do Q&As, so I send them like 50 questions.
That's a lot.
But yeah, it is a lot. But like if they open up the conversation, I'll definitely be, in there and like just asking things. I used to actually, when I was starting my career a little bit ago, like I would actually just be on Instagram. I would go on to Ford models and I would look up all the photographers on the website. And I would DM them on Instagram, whether some of them actually only had a couple thousand followers. So they were actually responsive. And I would just say, can I take you out for lunch? Can I take you out for coffee? Can I ask you questions in person? Can I basically interview you? And I made a lot of friends when I first moved to the city that way. And a lot of them said, no, I don't have time for you or whatever. Like, are you going to pay for a shoot or not? Like as a model. But like, that's how I kind of just got connected with a few people. And then from there, I think, little tiny bite-sized questions are easier. You'll get the answer quicker. But like whenever I would go to like art galleries and I would see the photographer, I would kind of be very patient, very quiet, but just like give them the eye, like, hi, like I would love to chat with you. And then once I got them, I would ask very specific, straightforward questions. Like, how do you do your color toning? Like do you use like selective color? Like what in Photoshop do you use? And then after shoots, when I would work with photographers as a model, I would say like, hi, like are there any pointers at all you can give me? And some of them are really, really sweet. And they would take me and show me their computer and be like, look at this one thing that I figured out. And it took me 20 years to figure this out, but I'm gonna put you on. And then they would show you how they did it. And you would be like, oh, and I just like put it in my notes. Like, okay, I'm writing all this down. Because it's so specific and it's so like, oh, how the hell did you ever figure this out? Like, what? But just a bunch of little things like that. And then, like I love Virgil because he's like the 3%, like just change it by 3% to improve your process. And he's like, everyone thinks artists are like crazy and they're just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. No, it's very regimented. It's very specific. It's like all of my actions in Photoshop are like lined up. Like I know exactly what I'm doing to every single photo. I know the process for every photo. And then that process just gets improved by like 3%. Like only when I find something that's really magical that I'm like, okay, I want to incorporate this into my routine.
Where are you now with modeling and photography? Is there one you prioritize over the other, or are you just in a good space with both?
I'm in a good space for both. I'm 29, so obviously modeling is, I don't know where it's going. Like I still am working. Like I just worked for like Anthropologie the other week, and I just got back from an incredible, modeling sponsored trip in Aspen. I'm still doing both. And honestly, I get asked which one do you like more. I love them both just as much. There is no, it's like my children. I can't pick a favorite. I do wish I had a better agent that was representing me in modeling. I am kind of self-represented and I have been for a while now, but like I still have a few agencies in Philly that I work with, but a lot of things can be done on DMs. I know like some of the best models that are in Glamour magazine right now that are self-represented. I just met a huge model that is like, I will only do jobs if a designer specifically DMs me on Instagram. And so I think, I don't want to speak too soon, but I do think in 10, 20 years, we're going to see agencies declining because why would I want to give 20% to an agency when I can find my own jobs with Instagram? And also same with the companies. Companies really don't want to work with agencies and have someone ask them for more money if they can just pay the model directly. So I do love agencies. I think regulation is really, really important. When working with jobs, contracts are very important. But like, I think everyone's getting frustrated with agencies right now. So that's just what I'm hearing on both sides, whether it's holding payments for 3 months or this, that, and the third. And I do sympathize a lot with agencies. It's incredibly hard, a very expensive business to be in. And low profit margin as well. But yeah, we'll see how things change. I think it's something that might be replaceable with like either AI or just, people doing it themselves.
As a photographer, do you specialize or do you do multiple genres? Because I know sometimes, myself included, I'll do some corporate work to pay the bills, but I advertise myself as a fashion and beauty photographer. Do you take what comes in or do you only take certain jobs?
I take what comes in, but I definitely say, okay, every job that comes in, this is the amount of hours I'm going to be putting in. Travel included, retouching included, and the job. And if it's modeling, and I'm doing my own makeup for that hour of makeup is included, right? Or if I have to locate my own wardrobe or whatever it is, those hours are included. Then I take the total and I divide it by the amount of hours I will be putting into this job. If it's really low and they're saying it's exposure, I mean, yeah, I might take it, but I might take it. It honestly just depends. But I do want to make sure that I'm aware of how much I'm actually getting paid per hour. And then, you have to look at like the scope of everything else and the quality of everything else. And as a photographer, like I try to aim for quality jobs that are going to represent me in a nice light. So,
Reason I asked is because at one point you had the fashion-based Instagram and the wedding photography as well. Do you still do weddings, or do you not seek out events, or do you just do them and don't post it or don't advertise it? How does that work for
when
you?
you first enter New York, you are hitting the ground running like you just need money, right? You just need to work as much as you possibly can. I still do weddings on occasion, but I'm more specific and picky now because I can be. So yeah, I've definitely stopped marketing myself as much with weddings because I don't really need it as much, but I do still love it, and it's a really grounding and beautiful, experience to be a part of someone's like the best day of their life. And yeah, like I love hearing people's vows and being a part of the celebration, but it's probably like a once every like 2 or 3 months that I'll do it type of thing. Like maybe I'll do like 5 a year max.
Okay. When it comes to fashion and the models you photograph, are you seeking out e-commerce clients, campaign clients? Like, what is your ultimate goal within the fashion space?
My ultimate goal within the fashion space is to work with very specific brands. Like oh my gosh, if I could work for like Mirror Play or like IMG or like Tiger Mist or any of my like dream brands, like I would love that. But obviously that would take years and it may never happen. So you have to be open to whatever opportunities come your way, but definitely creating a very detailed vision board with very specific images and then watching that vision board every single day has helped me tremendously in curating my Instagram feed and my portfolio to be a little bit more in line with that.
What type of photography work are you getting now? Is it mainly just model test, or are you starting to shoot for brands?
I did shoot for brands recently, but I think even more rewarding than that, and I don't think most photographers would agree with this, but like when I'm on Pinterest now and like I see a shot that I took being used for like a really prestigious like cat label or just like a really cool brand that I would have always wanted to work for, and I see them like using my image and I'm like, oh my God. Like, yes, I kind of wish I got paid for that, but also like just the fact that they thought my work was good enough to want to use for their Pinterest or for their website or for their Instagram is in the last like 2 or 3 weeks has been really rewarding. So, yeah.
What are your goals for 2025?
I have a whole list.
Well,
I have like 35 goals. Like, you should see my Trello board. Oh my God. Well, so I wish I had top 3. But like 5 years ago, I put very specific lists and I look at it now and I laugh at it. And then like, so I just wish I had been way more prestigious, but I think we overestimate what we can get done in like a couple months and we underestimate what we can get done in a couple years. And just being really specific about that is so important. So it's definitely something I'm working on to narrow that down. But I can grab it and read it to you. But off the rip, I mean, I think just working with very specific brands, continuing to do what I love, cultivating female relationships, like finding a really good mentor. I feel like I'm becoming like kind of a mentor to all my friends instead of having one on my own. So I really want to figure out a way to make friends that are like above me. I never want to be the smartest person in the room, and I want to always continue my education within the field. So I think just finding really good mentors, starting to earn like more money, like figuring out a way to actually like get paid to work with big brands and still maintain my independence within the photography, because I've always been one-to-one, right? I don't hire a stylist, I don't hire makeup artists, I don't hire a hairstylist, I don't allow anybody to be in the room with me except for the model, because I don't want too many opinions in the room. I want it to be my voice only, so then I can figure out how to improve on that. And then I feel confident putting my name on it because it's all me. But yeah, so I want to eventually kill that and start to maybe delegate a little bit. Smart. Start to be open to working with makeup artists, start to be open to working with hairstylists, and allow myself to accept getting to the next level, right? You know, I think you're only gonna accept the love that you feel that you deserve, and I think it's the same with success. So you have to be willing to accept that success, and accept the downfalls. Like, you may have a shitty makeup artist one day, okay, that can happen. So what? It's not the end of the world. But it's much worse to not accept help or not accept working with people. But for me, it's like your career is like a third of your life, has to be something I love. I don't want to get a bunch of people in my circle and have those relationships fall apart and then I lose my love for photography because of that, or I get burnt out, because I see that happen a lot, right? People are like, oh, I hate, screw this industry, everyone sucks. It's like, no, you surrounded yourself with the wrong people. So I've maintained my love for photography because it's only ever been me and a model, and it's been very simple, and I play Jack Johnson and I keep it chill. Like, my set is very chill. So, and I know a lot of photographers that do the same thing, but you know, burnout can happen from also doing too much work and taking on too much responsibility. So my goal is definitely to remind myself of that, and hopefully to start working on some bigger sets, doing some bigger jobs, and yeah, and continuing to model. I still love modeling.
Yeah, you can model to your 60. It's all the models I shoot with the beauty, the older models, and the mature models I shoot with fashion and things like that. So you'll be doing this forever.
I hope so. I hope so. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for sitting down talking.